going on, everyone? So the Los Angeles Lakers appear to be targeting shooting based on recent reports that came out primarily from Sports Illustrated. You had Sam Hauser as well as Grayson Allen as two targets to kind of keep an eye on that the Lakers are interested in and could look to pursue. Did a whole video on the Sam Hauser situation, which I would love to get Sam Hauser. A little tricky, right? Because the Celtics, they want to get under the luxury tax. They want to get under the tax, which they're not fully under yet. They are under the second apron. But they want to get under the tax. So, they may be looking to shed some more salary. So Sam Hauser could make some sense. Problem is, Lakers can't just take him on, right? Like, if Lakers had the cap space, they could just take him on. They don't, right? So it might have to require a 3-team trade, so on and so forth. But Grayson Allen, you could go and trade for as well. And before I dive into the Grayson Allen side of things, right, I get the idea. Like, Lakers want shooting. Hauser makes a ton of sense. Grayson Allen kind of gives you that 3-and-D kind of guard, right? A guy that can knock down the three ball, play off ball, play on ball, initiate a little bit. He's really good in that first year stint with Phoenix. Like, huge for them. And then kind of just has kind of tapered off a little bit since then. He hasn't been bad. Right? I mean, even last year, he was 11 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists on 45% from the floor. He hasn't been bad, but he had this stellar year for them and was a huge kind of two-way guy for them. And then it's kind of tapered off since then. Now, part of that could just be, Phoenix was just awful. Right? Part of that could just be, he kind of overachieved for that season. However, he is a guy that could kind of get back to that, slot alongside Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and Austin Reeves. Just think of the quality of looks that he would get and the opportunities that he'd get slotted alongside those guys. A guy that can give you that point of attack, give you that defense, give you that, sort of 3-and-D style guard. My problem with him is his contract, right? Like Sam Hauser, he just getting into the first year of his deal, right? But his contract is at its peak is only $12.5 million, right? Grayson Allen still has several years on his contract. He still has 3 years left counting this year because he has a player option for almost $20 million, which he's not going to opt out of. So he's making $17 million or just under $17 million this year, $18 million next, and then he's going to have that player option for $19.5 million, which again would go into the Lakers cap situation. Right? Which, look, I'm somebody that have said on several occasions that I think that's overblown. I think it's nonsense because it doesn't make sense. Right? Lakers are going to have to pay Austin Reeves. If DeAndre Ayton's great for them, they're going to have to pay DeAndre Ayton. If Jake LaRavia is really good for them, then they're going to have to pay Jake LaRavia at that point. Right? A Dude Theroux would be going into that season, into his contract here. So, again, no matter how you shake it, Lakers are going to probably tap into that cap space either way. But Grayson Allen, I don't think he's crazy overpaid until he starts getting into those player option years. This year, you can argue a little bit, sure, right? But he is a guy that I do think can make a difference, a guy that could be that 3-and-D style guard for you, a guy that, is tough out there, give you some defense, all of that. I've watched him since Duke because I'm a big Duke guy. So, but again, it's just, I don't know if that's the best use of your salary space, right? To bring in a 19 or 17 million this year, 18 million next. If he was 14, 15 million, sure. If he was let's say this year he was 13.5 million. The following year he was let's just say 14 million this year, 15 million the next, and then he had a player option for 17 million. Right? Even if he opts into that, fine, because now that's an expiring contract. Yes, you could argue you'd have the 19 million expiring contract, which would be very beneficial, but you're still paying him 35 million over the next 2 years, almost 36 million. I don't think that's the best use and allocation of the Lakers' assets, right? I'd rather go get a Sam Hauser. Now, it might cost you more to get a Hauser than it would be a Grayson Allen, but the problem is, too, is you can't even, maybe you could get a third team involved, but you can't even do a salary dump, kind of free up space type thing. Because Phoenix is kind of in the same way. They want to stay under the aprons and all that stuff as well, right? It's why they've stretched and done all these things. Where, to me, it's if you could get Grayson Allen to do other moves, right? So let's say you were trading for Nick Richards and Grayson Allen. Right? Maybe they just want to get off of Grayson Allen's contract, right? That would probably be the best approach if I'm the Lakers. Give us Nick Richards and Grayson Allen. You're going to have to pay Nick Richards, and Grayson Allen is going to make, X amount of money. Maybe you can get them pretty cheap right? And, at that point, now you're sending out like 21, 22 million. Maybe you could do like a Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleba, clear an extra million off your books to open up that roster spot for you. Something like that. Or I guess it would be a little less than a million. I guess it'd be like a million and some change. But, maybe throw in a pick swap or a second or something like that for doing business, right? And it's like, hey, we're getting you off of, Grayson Allen for the next few years. Like, I wouldn't hate something like that if you told me we're getting Nick Richards in the process. Right? So it's like you're getting a better backup center, you're getting Grayson Allen who can slot in, and you're opening up a roster spot in order to do that. But again, that might require a third team. Maybe you're sending out Connect somewhere, and maybe you're getting another piece, you're doing another swap, and you're clearing like $1.5 million to free up the cap space. Right? Like, Lakers would have to. I think if you're gonna go target and go after Grayson Allen, and you're the Lakers, I think you have to get creative, right? I just, because like are the Phoenix Suns going to be willing to take on Gabe Vincent and Maxi Kleba just for Grayson Allen? Maybe just to get off the salary, but then that's an extra like $5 million you have to take on, right? Because you can't even do like Gabe Vincent and a Dalton Connect, because you need to preserve the money to fill in that roster spot, right? So it gets complicated, it gets a little tricky because like Lakers can't take back money. Phoenix is probably not going to want to take back money. So you're kind of in this awkward spot. So you're going to have to bring in a third team. But then that team's not going to just facilitate to facilitate. They're going to want something in return. But that's why I said, like, maybe you could do a 3-team if you can get Nick Richards, get Grayson Allen, and then free up, cap space in order to go bring in, maybe you're bringing in, I don't know, DeAnthony Melton or something like that at that point. Or maybe you're bringing in an Al Horford, right? And kind of let him play kind of the 4-5 spot, whatever, right? Like, I don't know. Again, to me, it's just, I need to see the Lakers get creative with the Grayson Allen thing. Personally, I would stay away from Grayson Allen. I don't think he's a bad player by any stretch. I just think he's overpaid, right? Not crazy overpaid, but just slightly overpaid. And I think you're hoping that, because he'll be 30 going into the season. He'll be 30 October 8th. So, like, right, during preseason, he will be 30, which isn't bad, right? But, he's closer. He basically is the player that he is, which is a solid role player. I just don't think he's, $20 million solid or $18 million solid, which is basically what your average, annual salary is for him, is going to be roughly like $18 million. I just think that that's not the best allocation of assets. Yes, you could argue the final year you'd have salary. I don't think you'd have to give up assets for him for Phoenix, because it's like, hey, we're trying to, I'd rather, like, if you're going to have to give up assets and do all kinds of things, I'd rather you just go try to get Dillon Brooks. I just don't know if Phoenix would actually trade him, but that's what I would try to do. Try to go get Dillon Brooks. Like, you don't really need Grayson Allen, right? Like, Dillon Brooks makes more sense. But let's get into the numbers here, right? Let's dive into the numbers. See if it's worth it, right? See if it's warranted. But talk about a guy, 6'4", guard, right? So he's really a 1 or a 2. Right, he's a guy that you can slot in 1 or 2 that can be, defend opposing guards, right? Which is fine. He basically could fill in for the Gabe Vincent role. That is what you'd be looking for him to do. Come in and play that part, play that role. Which, I'm not gonna lie, I'd rather probably just keep Gabe Vincent, right? Like, because Gabe Vincent's making $11 million, and if he can kind of pick up where he left off last season, then I think, he could give you the same production that Grayson Allen would give you, right? Maybe even more. Right, he's not as big as Grayson Allen, but still, right? You also save like $40 million over the next 5 years or 3 years. But anyway, I digress. He played last year, 64 games, which is good because he plays, right? That's what you want to see. Right, last few years, played 72 games, 75 games, 64 games, but played 64 games. 7 games started, 24 minutes per game, 7.6 field goal attempts per game, shot 45% from the field total on 7.6 attempts, but from 3-point range on 5.5 attempts. And this is where the key is, right? He's a career 41.4% 3-point shooter, right? On volume, on 5 attempts per game. That's where the value is him as a 3-point shooter, right? Same thing I talked about in the Sam Hauser video. Sam Hauser's, career 41% free throw shooter or 3-point shooter. I don't know why I said free throw, 3-point shooter. But yeah, last year on 5.5 attempts was 52.6%. The previous year, that first stint with the Phoenix Suns, on 6 attempts, shot 46% from 3-point range. 46%, 46.1%. That's insane. But still, 42.6% is really good. So imagine how good he could shoot the basketball alongside LeBron and Austin Reeves and Luka Doncic. But 2-point range on 2.2 attempts, shot 50.4% from the field, which is down from 57%. He is a 52% free 2-point shooter per game. 60% EFG, which is really good. Now, the free throw shooting, which is what I talked about, on 1.6 attempts. He's a career over 80% guy, which is good. It's what you want to see, somebody that can knock down, free throws with efficiency, knock down the just threes and twos. He's an efficient scorer. He's an efficient shooter, which is what you want to see. But again, free throw shooting was 81.6%. He's a career 86% guy. 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 2.1 assists, a steal, half a block, and 11 points per game. Right, the previous year, in which he shot 46% from 3-point range, was 13.5. So I don't hate it. If you're going to bring him in, sure. I don't really like his salary personally, but let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and see you all in the next one.